Have you ever wondered how something as simple as picking up a grocery bag or standing up without support can become a rare and powerful indicator of your overall health after age 65? Most people don't realize it, but aging doesn't announce itself with a grand event. It's the slow, quiet surrender of simple movements. First, it's the jar that won't open. Then it's the couch that's suddenly harder to get up from. Eventually, those tiny struggles combine into a silent decline, one that steals independence without warning. But here's the powerful truth. If you're over 65 and can still do the things we're about to explore, you're not just doing okay. You're aging better than the vast majority of your peers. You're part of a rare group. And perhaps, without even realizing it, you're holding on to something most people begin losing in their late 50s. Functional strength, coordinated balance, cognitive sharpness, and the ability to move through life without depending on others. In this video, we're going to uncover 2 signs. Yes, just 2 for now, that tell us more about your long-term health than a blood test. And by the end, I'll reveal a key mindset shift that people who age exceptionally well all seem to share. It's not about avoiding age, it's about rising above it. So stay with me. These aren't just signs, they're reminders that you are still capable, still vibrant, and still strong. Let's begin. Let's talk about the first sign, grip strength. Now, when people hear that term, they usually picture someone crushing a tennis ball or shaking hands aggressively. But grip strength is far more important and more revealing than that. It's not just about your hands, it's a window into your entire body. Why? Because grip strength is directly tied to muscle mass, nerve health, and even heart function. In fact, one of the most overlooked but scientifically backed indicators of longevity is how firmly you can grasp, hold, or carry an object. Studies show that seniors with higher grip strength live longer, recover faster from illness, and maintain their independence longer than those with weaker hands. Think about what that means. Something as simple as holding onto a shopping bag, opening a stubborn jar lid, or balancing yourself by grabbing a rail. Those actions tell a story, and that story is about resilience. Meet Harold. He's 76 years old, retired from the fire department, and wakes up every morning to tend his backyard garden. He doesn't just pluck flowers. He lifts soil bags, trims hedges, and pulls up weeds with the kind of hand strength you'd expect from someone 20 years younger. His doctor recently told him, "Your grip strength is higher than most 50-year-olds." And Harold? He just smiled, because he doesn't feel old. He feels capable. That's the thing about grip strength. It's a quiet force. You only notice it when it starts to fade. When holding a mug becomes shaky, or twisting a doorknob requires effort, or carrying groceries feels like a full workout. And when that strength goes, everything else follows. Your posture begins to collapse, your independence takes a hit, your ability to balance in motion, even to catch yourself from a fall, weaken. Now here's what most people miss. Grip strength isn't a genetic gift. It's trainable. You can improve it. Whether you're squeezing a rubber ball, carrying a light dumbbell, or simply hanging from a bar, even just 10 seconds a day, it all matters. And if you still have it today, take it as a sign. Your body is working with you, not against you. You're in that rare group of seniors whose strength speaks louder than their age. Now let's shift to the second sign, getting up from the floor without using your hands. Think about it. This isn't a gym test. It's a real-life scenario. You're playing with your grandkids, something falls under the couch. You drop to your knees, grab it, and then, can you get back up? Without grabbing a table, pressing your palm to the floor, or calling someone for help? Most seniors can't. In fact, research shows that those who struggle to rise from the floor without assistance are at a significantly higher risk for mobility decline, hospitalization, and even early death. This might sound dramatic, but the science is solid. When you can get up without support, it means your core muscles, hip joints, leg strength, and balance systems are all still working together. That's a symphony of body coordination. It's a physical feat that many people under 40 take for granted until they watch their parents or loved ones struggle. Let's talk about Deborah. She's 73 and never thought much about it, until one evening during a family game night, her youngest grandson dropped a toy beneath the coffee table. As everyone turned to help, Deborah calmly knelt down, scooped it up, and rose to her feet without touching the furniture. Her son turned to her, wide-eyed, and said, "Mom, I know women 20 years younger than you who couldn't do that." Deborah smiled, but what she didn't say was this. Every morning she stretches. Every evening she does 10 simple squats while brushing her teeth. These daily acts aren't flashy, but they preserve something most seniors lose: the ability to move without fear. Now here's a hidden benefit you probably haven't heard about. When you get up from the floor unassisted, you're not just engaging your body, you're reinforcing your brain. Why? Because movement coordination requires a dialogue between your muscles and your nervous system. Every successful rise sends signals across your body that say, we're still sharp, we're still aligned. That's neurological fitness, a crucial part of aging well that's rarely discussed. So, here's a simple test. If you're watching this, pause the video and try this. Sit on the floor, legs crossed, then stand up. No hands, no arms, no furniture. If you can do it, if it's difficult, don't panic. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's about making small improvements every day until one day you rise without thinking. This isn't just strength, it's independence insurance. It means that in 5, 10, even 20 years, you'll still be able to get up after a fall, still be able to live without daily assistance, and still be in control of your body. That's more valuable than any pill or procedure. So let's bring it home. If you're over 65 and you can still grip tightly and rise from the floor without support, you are aging exceptionally well. These aren't just movements. They are proof of internal strength, brain-body coordination and resilience that most seniors lose. And if you're not there yet, don't be discouraged, because everything we've talked about today is trainable. You're not stuck with decline, you can rebuild. You can get stronger. And in the next section of this video, we'll break down how to improve your posture and master the chair rise test. Another key indicator of functional longevity. But here's what I want you to do now. If you're still with me and these insights have struck a chord, comment 2 below. Let me know if these 2 signs are still within your reach. Your voice matters, and it helps others watching feel encouraged too. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so, because this channel is dedicated to sharing elderly wisdom, real-life motivation, and practical inspiration for people like you. People who believe that aging is not a limitation but a badge of strength. Now get ready, because in the next segment, we're going even deeper. You won't want to miss it. There's something powerful, almost poetic, about a person who can walk into a room, shoulders back, chin held high, spine straight as a pillar of confidence. At first glance, you might think it's posture. And yes, it is, but it's also something deeper, something more vital than what most people realize. It's a living signal of how your body is aging from the inside out. Because the third sign that you're aging exceptionally well is this: you can still maintain good posture without struggling. Now, before you brush this off as a vanity metric, something only about how you look, pause and reconsider. Good posture isn't just appearance, it's structural health. It's alignment, it's breath, it's energy, and most importantly, it's survival. Picture this: 2 people of the same age, let's say 75. One walks with a slight forward lean, back hunched, chest collapsed. The other stands up, stress balanced, breathing evenly. Which one do you think will avoid a fall? Which one will get better oxygen to their brain? Which one is more likely to live independently into their 80s or 90s? The answer is simple. Posture is a mirror to your entire musculoskeletal system. It reveals the strength of your spine, the flexibility of your hips, the engagement of your core, and even the control of your nervous system. Meet George, 75 years old, a retired history teacher who walks through the park every morning. People often mistake him for being 10 years younger, not because he dyes his hair or wears athletic clothes, but because he moves with purpose. His back doesn't slouch, his stride is firm, his breath flows deeply, not shallow and labored. One time during a routine checkup, George's doctor made an offhand comment. "Most men your age lean forward, almost unconsciously, but you stand like a Marine." George chuckled. He said, "I do 2 things every morning. I stretch and I engage my core. That's it." And yet those 2 simple habits have preserved something rare: natural alignment. Why does this matter so much? Because when you lose posture, you lose control. Poor posture shifts your center of gravity forward. And that means your body has to work twice as hard just to stay balanced. Your knees strain, your hips ache, your neck tenses. Over time, this not only increases your risk of falling, but also drains your energy, because every breath becomes less efficient. Did you know that when you slouch, your lungs have less space to expand? Less oxygen reaches your blood? Your brain fogs, your heart works harder. It's a cascade effect. Now, most people think this is just a natural part of getting older. That's the myth. The truth is, you can train posture. And if you're someone who still stands upright without reminders, without back pain, and without slumping into every chair you sit in, you are part of a very rare group of seniors with retained neuromuscular function and alignment. And that deserves celebration. Here's a quick test. Sit in your chair right now. Place both feet flat on the floor. Pull your shoulders back. Engage your abdomen slightly. Does it feel natural, or do you feel yourself wanting to collapse forward after 10 seconds? That tells you everything you need to know about where your posture is today and where it might be in 5 years. Now we're going to move to the fourth sign, one of the simplest yet most revealing of all. You can get up from a chair without using your hands. On the surface, this might seem trivial. We stand up all the time, off the couch, from dinner tables in restaurants, from park benches. But here's what you might not realize. This one motion involves a precise orchestration of muscles and balance that many people lose with age. It's your quads, your glutes, your calves, your core, your sense of center, all working in harmony. And when one of those components fades, standing up becomes a struggle. You start pushing off with your hands. You lean forward, you hesitate, and you tell yourself, I'm just a little stiff. But it's more than that. Studies show that seniors who can no longer stand from a seated position without help are significantly more likely to lose independence, suffer injury, and face long-term mobility issues. Because if you can't get up from a chair, what happens when you fall? What happens when no one is around to offer a hand? You see, this isn't just about convenience. It's about survival. Let me introduce you to someone special. Her name is Ellen. She's 74, a retired school principal, and every Sunday she hosts dinner for her entire family. 5 kids, 9 grandkids. One evening, her teenage grandson jokingly said, "Grandma, can you still stand up from the floor without using your hands?" Without a word, Ellen sat down cross-legged in front of the fireplace, then stood up, smoothly, effortlessly. The room fell silent. Later, she told her daughter, "I do 10 leg races every morning, and I never skip my walking routine." That's all it takes. Just a little consistent effort to protect your power. Because yes, rising from a chair without hands is a marker of lower body strength, but it's also a test of confidence. It's you saying, I don't need to brace myself for this. And more importantly, it's a sign that your body is still functioning as one complete system. So here's what I want you to do. Try it, find a standard chair, sit down, cross your arms. Now stand up without using momentum and without pushing off with your thighs or knees. Can you do it comfortably? Can you do it 10 times in a row? If yes, congratulations. You're in a category of, but if it was hard, don't worry. You can build back. Small daily exercises, like bodyweight squats, seated leg lifts, and balance drills, can rebuild the strength and control you need. In fact, just holding a squat position against a wall for 10 seconds a day can train your leg muscles to respond faster and with more control. And here's the secret. The earlier you start, the easier it becomes. Because the body, no matter your age, wants to obey. It wants to stay strong. It just needs to be reminded. Let's take a moment to reflect. If you're over 65 and can still stand up from a chair without using your hands and maintain upright posture without thought, you are not ordinary. You are part of a group that is beating the odds, showing what it means to age with strength, with grace, and with independence. These aren't just signs of good aging, they're lifetime abilities. So what about you? Can you pass both tests? Comment below with years your upward superpower. And if these insights resonate with you, I'd be honored if you subscribed. This channel exists to share elderly reflections, senior health strategies, and life lessons from the elderly that can make every year better than the last. Up next, we'll tackle balance, your overlooked superpower, and why carrying groceries with ease may be a greater health metric than you ever imagined. And at the end, I'll share one mindset shift that links every AG champion we've talked about. It's the glue that holds them together. Don't miss it. What if I told you that your ability to simply stand on one leg, yes, just one leg for 10 seconds, could predict how long you'll live, how strong your brain still is, and whether or not you'll remain independent into your 80s or even 90s? Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's not, because this is one of those quiet truths modern science has uncovered. Yet most people ignore, yet until it's too late. And that brings us to sign number 5. Your ability to balance on one leg for more than 10 seconds. It might sound like a silly test, something you do during a childhood game or a yoga warm-up, but don't underestimate it. Balance is not just about muscles. It's about the communication between your brain and your body, the harmony of nerves, joints, muscles, and inner ear working together in real time. When that connection breaks down, we begin to wobble. We reach for walls, we stumble on curbs, and worst of all, we fall. According to the CDC, falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries in seniors. Over 65, they don't just hurt physically, they rob people of independence, of confidence, and in many cases, of life expectancy. But what if you could avoid all of that by strengthening something as basic as your balance? Let me introduce you to someone who proves it's possible. His name is Bernard. He's 78, a retired carpenter from Michigan. Every morning he brushes his teeth while standing on one foot, first the right, then the left. It's my insurance policy, he says. If I can balance while brushing, I know I can walk a trail, climb stairs, or even reach for something on the top shelf without falling over. Bernard's doctor once ran him through what's called the single-leg stance test. He clocked in at 16.2 seconds, well above the national average for his age. But more importantly, he hadn't had a single fall in over 15 years. That's not luck. That's functional training. So here's the test for you. Stand upright, barefoot if you can, and lift one foot just an inch off the floor. Set a timer. Can you hold it for 10 seconds? No flailing, no grabbing, no cheating. If you can, fantastic. If you can't, altitude walking, leg lifts, tai chi, and even standing on one foot while holding onto the back of a chair. These movements literally rewire the way your brain and muscles communicate. That means you're not just reducing your fall risk, you're also preserving neurological sharpness, spatial awareness, and reaction time. And that brings us to something even deeper. Balance isn't just a physical skill, it's a psychological one. When you feel confident in your body, you move with assurance. You explore, you say yes to that weekend trip, that walk in the park, or that dance at your granddaughter's wedding. But when balance fades, people shrink their lives, they stay home more, they sit longer, they lose what I call the freedom of movement, and with it, the joy of everyday life. So if you can still balance on one leg, even just for 10 seconds, you're doing better than most. You're aging with strength and neurological clarity. And that leads us to sign number 6, which might surprise you even more. Because it's not about flexibility, it's not about meditation, it's about whether or not you can carry a bag of groceries without struggling. Sound too simple? It's not. This is one of the most underrated signs of functional longevity in existence. Why? Because when you can carry weight without wobbling, without stopping to catch your breath, without using both hands to support a single bag, you're demonstrating that your bones, muscles, joints, and nervous system are all still working in harmony. It's not about impressing anyone. It's not about lifting 100 pounds in the gym. It's about being able to live your life without depending on someone else to carry it for you. Let me share the story of Sylvia, 75, a retired elementary school librarian, unloads everything, no problem. One day, a younger man saw her lifting a bulk-sized pack of paper towels into her trunk and rushed over. "Ma'am, let me help you with that." She laughed and said, "I've been lifting books for 30 years, honey. I think I've got this." That moment might sound cute, but here's what her doctor later confirmed. Sylvia had above-age bone density for her age, no signs of shoulder impingement, and a resting heart rate in the low 60s. Her secret? She never stopped using her body. She lifts small hand weights 3 times a week. She stretches every night, and most importantly, she carries her own bags. Let's unpack the science. Carrying weight activates your fast-twitch and slow-twitch muscle fibers. It supports bone mineralization, key for avoiding osteoporosis. It strengthens your rotator cuffs and forearm extensors. It even stimulates your vestibular system, helping with balance and spatial control. In short, carrying groceries isn't a chore, it's a test. And if you pass it, you're telling the world, my body still works. Now here's what most people miss. If this task has started to feel harder lately, that's not a moral failure. That's data. Your body is sending a message. It might be time to train smarter, rebuild strength, or speak with a physical therapist. But it's never too late. Whether it's a kettlebell, a gallon of water, or even a backpack filled with books, Loadmaster movement is one of the fastest ways to regain lost strength. And best of all, it's functional. It's training for life, not for a medal. So let's step back for a moment and reflect. If you're over 65 and can still balance on one leg for 10 seconds and carry your groceries without wincing, you're part of an elite group. You're the living example of what senior health can look like when it's nourished, respected, and prioritized. You're someone whose elderly reflections carry not just memories, but living proof that age does not equal weakness. And if either of these signs has slipped, I want to remind you, there's still time. The body adapts, the nervous system rewires, and the spirit, when fueled by motivation, always rises. That brings us to a powerful conclusion. And a final insight I promised at the start of this video. Throughout this series, we've explored the physical foundations of lasting independence. Grip strength, posture, floor mobility, chair stands, balance, and strength. But underneath all of these abilities is one common thread. It's not muscle, it's not bone, it's mindset. Because the people who age best, those who thrive long after 65, are not just active, they are intentional. They don't train for vanity, they train for vitality. They don't move because they have to, they move because they know what happens when you stop. That's the real superpower. So ask yourself, am I moving every day? Am I challenging my balance, testing my strength, honoring my breath? Am I treating movement not as a burden but as a gift I get to keep as long as I use it? If the answer is yes, even a hesitant yes, you're already on the right path. But if the answer is no, just decide right now that you will start small. One breath, one balance, one bag of groceries, then another, then and over time your life will expand. Your fears will shrink and you will step into a new chapter. One in where aging is not the end of your story, but the beginning of your legacy. Now I want to hear from you. Can you stand on one leg for 10 seconds? Can you carry groceries without stopping? Comment under 6 below if you're still strong enough to do both. And if you learned something today or felt inspired by these stories, hit that subscribe button, because this channel is here to honor you, the resilient, the wise, the strong. The ones who show us what life after 65 can truly look like when lived with power, purpose, and pride. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay upright, and above all, keep moving forward.